Hello, lovely people. It's Graham Coath with another My Music. In a minute, I'm going to be speaking to the lovely Emma. Thanks for joining me, Emma. It's knocking off time, so put down your work, whatever it is that you're doing. You've had enough of that this week. All right, spreadsheets off, computers off. Come join us for some talk about music just after this.
I need to get going, mate. I'll see you later.
There we go. Thanks to the lovely Next Stand for sponsoring the show, making it happen, and all of that. There you go. I hope you use your laptop properly, Emma.
Oh, I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very important.
Have to get it raised up. Have to keep your posture good. It's very good, especially if you sing. You know, you don't want to be singing down there with your head down there. You got to be lifting up. So tell me, when did music start for you?
Music started for me, I'm going to say when I was born, essentially, because it's always been in the house. And it's funny, I was only actually saying this to somebody recently, like some of my earliest memories of, say, musical sounds before I even knew what they were would be kind of like, I remember the Smiths and Madness and things like that.
Wow.
But not until I was a lot older did I hear those sounds, like in my teens and stuff, and be like, oh, okay, that's what that was. And
I would go out tonight, but I'm in diapers.
What I mean, exactly. But I'm not allowed. So basically then obviously in my house there was just music on all the time. My mom and dad were just constantly listening to all kinds of different things, from folk to rock to everything. Country.
Were you brought up? I mean, clearly there's the accent there. Whereabouts are you originating from?
Yeah, in Dublin. So
Nice.
Finglas was the first place I lived. And so we had a very musical house. And my mom sings as well. My mom's a beautiful singer. So
Lovely.
There's just been music always. Yeah, always.
Dublin's a very musical city. Did you grow up in Dublin, that area, all of your life?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, and of course, like you're right about Dublin, like there's always kind of been something going on, and a great history of, say, bands and singers and music and writers and everything coming out of the city. So I couldn't wait to get going when I got into my teens to be able to go to gigs and see people and that. Like I'd been brought to a few when I was younger. But then obviously you bring all of those kind of musical influences from home, I think, together. So there was everything from like the Kinks, Rory Gallagher was another one from home. I'm named after Emmylou Harris.
Yes.
And so like there was kind of lots of music on always, and I think you bring then your own tastes to that. So I think the first CD I ever bought when I was like 12, I think somebody got me a record token, and it was 20 Golden Greats. It was the Beach Boys, 20 Golden Greats. And then when I got into my teens, then obviously I remember seeing Supergrass on TFI Friday when I was like 15, and I was like, hang on a minute, what is going on here? This is just amazing. From then on, then it all just kind of melded together, I think.
Yeah.
And brought me then to a space where I was, I was into my own bands and that, while bringing all of that with me as well.
Yeah. Can you remember any of those gigs that you were dragged to as a youngster? Is there one that actually sticks in mind at all?
Yeah, well, I do remember going to see Emmylou Harris in the National Stadium when I was young. And what age would I have been? Probably around 12, 11, maybe that kind of age. In saying all that, as a young girl, and as a kind of going into teens and that kind of thing, you're naturally into pop music and everything like that as well. So I remember being brought to see Take That when I was like 14, or something like that, and just that was something else. The noise, the noise alone, it was just something else. And but I think the you know, when I started, then I remember Oasis. I remember getting tickets to see Oasis in the Point, and that would have been about like 95 or 96. And then another gig I do remember that sticks out was I remember going to see the Manic Street Preachers, and me and my sister went along. And so I would have been around 15 and she might have been about 13 or like 16 and 14, something like that. And the two of us went alone, you know. So I was actually really grateful to my parents for that, because, you know, that we were able to go off and experience that together in the Olympia in Dublin, which is my favorite venue as well.
You've obviously been completely surrounded by music all of your life, which is wonderful. When did you decide that you had a voice and you wanted to do this?
I think when I remember being a kid, and, you know, you'd go on holidays and there'd be like talent competitions and things like that.
Yeah,
you know?
You did all that, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we went down the country one time, and my sister and me got up and we did a duet of California Dreamin'. So that was probably the first time I actually got up and sang in front of other people, maybe. But when I got into my teens then, and I wanted to be able to play the songs that I loved. I wanted to be able to, you know, I'd hear a song and I want to sing that. And so I got my first guitar then when I was about 15. And, you know, I remember going to group lessons first, and then just taking it away and just kind of working on it myself.
Yeah.
And
what was the first song that you learned outside of, you know, whatever the school would give you?
That's an interesting question. What would it have been? It's probably likely to be Oasis or something like that at the time.
Wonderwall or something like that.
Yeah. And I'd say like me and my mom talk about this, about how like in the 90s, you couldn't go into a record or a music shop in Dublin without loads of people playing guitar, like, and they're all strumming out kind of, you know, and it was Oasis, it was Ocean Colour Scene, it was, you know, the Blue Tones, it was all those bands that made people want to pick up a guitar and play it for themselves. So I got my own guitar around that time. But then I think like I'd say now what I used to do was I remember getting the sheet music in Walton's in Dublin, and then being able to kind of learn through, I don't know what this chord is, but I'm going to find out. So yeah, that's kind of how I developed then into kind of playing my own stuff, really.
Although you had musical parents or parents that really loved music, etc., and you say your mum sang, was there any kind of kickback from your parents in terms of you sort of pursuing music? Did they want you to be anything else?
I'd say, well, naturally, I think your parents always want you to
get a proper job.
Well, yeah, I want you to have security, I suppose, you know. And I suppose that would have been, if there was a concern, that would have been it, that like you'd go out into the world and you know, that you might have an unstable income, or you mightn't, you know, that you are putting yourself out there in an uncertain kind of field, you know. So I suppose if they had a concern about it, that was probably it. Yeah.
We've got a Brad Wolf watching who says, "Tell her to sing Doo Doo on My Shoe makes me think of you." That's my favorite.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't know that one. Maybe what we should do, if we were going to sing anything now, there's a good one. If because, you know, you could just get in the moment and you just feel like singing something. Are you one of those people, or you could just like sing around the house and whatever? What would you typically sort of go to for a little bit of a sing song? Would that be the Beach Boys, or would that be?
Like I suppose it's what, like, I find myself humming, you know, if I'm going around the house, but yeah, I don't have any kind of go-to songs.
No.
But I do sing all the time. Yeah, in the car.
Do you make songs up on the spot? Have you ever been that kind of person as well? I find myself, if I'm in the kitchen and there's just like some noise going, I've actually put a few on Instagram and Twitter before now. When, you know, the washing machine's been going, it's been going dum, 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 you know, and you just think, oh yeah, you just make something up over the top of it.
Yeah. There's rhythm in everything, and yeah, totally. I have done that. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. Right. So in terms, you started playing guitar, etc. Do you remember your first song that you actually wrote?
Yes, I think I definitely wrote a song for my school graduation when I was leaving school.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so I wrote a song for that, and I think I was writing. I actually started as a child writing poetry and short stories. So like that was as young as as young as I can remember. So I would have been like maybe 7, 8, and writing little stories and and poems and things like that. So that was they were the first thing I wrote before songs ever came along. And then I think in my teens, then I was still writing poetry, but I don't think I ever wrote poetry to put to music, if you know what I mean. If I was writing a song, it was a song from the start. So it would be written as a song in the first place. I wouldn't write a poem and be like, oh, I could put music to that. It was always like a song was separate to me.
Yeah. And what took you to your current style? Is there, was there a moment where you thought, actually, the kind of singer-songwriter that I am, or the kind of artist that I am is this? Well, certainly for the minute.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting actually, because I played for years, like when I finished school and that kind of thing. And then like life just kind of took me in different directions. And I actually stopped playing, and there wasn't I wasn't in a position where I was really creating space in my life to do it. And then I was kind of brought back in by doing kind of covers and things like that. But there was something that kept saying to me, go back and do it, go back and do it. And I would quite honestly say, I think I've only developed this style in the past, I would say 2 years. Really, what I would consider to be like, it's the first time that I actually have sat down and went, well, what genre am I? And people might think that's important, and maybe it's not. But when it comes to self-releasing music, it becomes really important to know, well, where do I fit in terms of other things? And you keep getting asked this question all the time. Anytime you go to upload something, or you're issuing a press release, or you're doing that, it's like, well, what are you? And so I had to kind of sit back and go, well, what am I? And I remember when I released the first single, Don't Forget, last year, and the Martin Quinn, who produced it and performed on it, he put up a thing, and he basically said, this is a new folk, ambient indie song of sorts, or it was something around those lines, and I was like, well, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's really difficult with genres, because I think in a way, no artist wants to be labelled within a genre. Because you want to kind of leave yourself open to turn into whichever road, or go down whichever road you want to go down. And maybe if you get pigeonholed into one genre, then like if tomorrow you wanted to go and do a completely electronica based track with whatever, or heavy metal, I don't know, I don't see you doing that, maybe. But if you wanted to go that route, though, suddenly you can't be in that genre again. But I guess to some extent everybody finds a niche or a style that suits them, and actually sometimes it is a struggle actually to find a genre that really suits your voice and your tonality and the way that you play. So I think actually finding something that you feel comfortable with, and that some other people can kind of put some kind of honing on, sometimes works for people. And as you say, in this electronic world that we live in now, as soon as you upload, it's the same even for podcasts. When you do a podcast and you go to upload it, they go, well, what is it? What kind of podcast is it? What is it? Music. Is it? Are you playing music? Are you are you interviewing about it? They need to know, so they can put you in the right place so that people can find you. So are people finding you? That's the thing.
Well, this is it. And I remember with the first song, I was kind of like, I just was kind of branding it as maybe alternative or indie or that kind of thing. And in fact, I think that maybe I don't think I actually realized what to put on it. And I think that was probably a bit too broad, really, you know. So like I'm happy now with like alt folk, new folk, indie folk, that they are appropriate to what I'm actually playing. But I'm a big fan of fluidity, and I'm a big fan of changing and kind of going with whatever you feel. And like when I sit down to write a song, I don't go, this song is going to be about this, and it's going to be in the new folk genre, and it's got like I would never do that. So it's literally what comes out is the song, and after that, then you're tasked with kind of going, well, where does it belong?
Yeah, where do you draw your inspiration from? What are you writing about?
Well, I suppose like I was saying there, I don't ever sit down and be like, I want to write a song about this topic, you know. And I suppose everybody's different in that some people would do that, and that's perfectly fine. But to me, this sounds kind of strange when you're talking about music, but I'm quite inspired by silence, in that if you leave space for silence, things start to come up to the fore, you know. So if when you create the space to actually listen, and you might even just strike one note, and next thing you have the beginnings of the song in like one note, and you know what comes after that, you have to let it happen. And I remember like when I took some time out a couple of years ago to write full time, and one of the things I was reading that, you know, different techniques, and there's infinite advice about everything out there, which is great because you can take as much or as little of it as you want to. But I remember one thing was like about kind of not censoring yourself and allowing whatever comes out to come out. So I'm kind of inspired by anybody that does that, you know, that kind of allows the space and the time to allow something to come forward, and then to make something out of it, whatever that is, whether it's a painting, a poem, a song, any piece of art whatsoever.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, space is a really important part of music anyway. I think some people don't necessarily, we've talked about that on this show before, some people don't really necessarily get that when they start playing an instrument, for example. They just try and play into the space all the time and just fill the void. And that can just sound like noise, you know. That's sometimes where there's a big problem between music and there can be just noise, you know, where it's just overfilled. But actually, in a way as well, what you're saying is quite important. Do you feel that as people we perhaps fill our lives with too much noise as well these days? Perhaps there's not enough space.
Yeah.
Full stop.
I think you're right. I think, and you know, like you're saying there about filling a space, like I think it's human nature to try and fill a space. So like if you're having a conversation with somebody and something's left hanging, the urge just to go, because those silences, you know. But I think life can be very loud and very noisy, and you do have to step out of it. And, you know, you can either choose to do that, or you can get to a point where you're like, God, I actually need a break here, and I need to step out and just allow things to happen. Let life be for a while. And, you know, I think I certainly benefited from doing that for a little bit, where I just stepped out of everything and was like, right, let's see what happens now when you're not obliged to do this, or you don't have to do that, or you don't feel you have to do the other. That what will happen when you do that? You know, something's going to happen. The exciting thing is you don't know what it is, and you have to allow yourself be open to whatever it is.
Yeah. Now, just before we came on, I was listening to Sometimes by yourself. Lovely strings on that as well. Who sorted those strings out for you?
Martin Quinn, who produced the song. Yeah. So Martin's in Jam Studios in Kells in Meath, and basically he has bands in and everything to the studio, but he also specializes in with people like myself, where there's just me and the acoustic guitar, and that you can go in with your song, with your demo, and then he can, you know, do all those other beautiful things to bring it all together. And his brother Andrew then plays the drums as well, so he plays drums on the song.
Wow, that's really quite special. Was it magic for you when you first heard that?
I was only saying it there recently. One of my most memorable things about being in the studio was when I heard that coming back at me from the desk when I was sitting. I think I was sitting there and I just heard it and I was like, oh my gosh, And
was there a tear?
It was quite emotional, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because like you have these songs and they're yours and you've made them and you've written them and you've put your heart and soul into when you put your heart and soul into something to even give it to somebody else to work their magic on it is a trust. It's a huge trust exercise. But to hand it over and then to hear it coming back sounding like it did was just magic. And yeah, I was just so grateful.
I hope we're whetting people's appetite to go and listen if they haven't listened already and try this out. What's the ambition for you now? Are you working outside of this? Is this now your full-time gig, as it were?
Yeah, no, I work part-time, but I have most of the week on this, which is great. So my aim is to just do more and more of it now. I think I suppose like I've written like loads of new songs last year. And it's my aim now is to get in and get those recorded and see what happens with them. Yeah.
And ultimately you'd love to play these live to people as well. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So can't wait to get back on the stage again and do that. I love performing.
Are there any gigs lined up in 2022 for you? Or
not at the moment, but I'm on the case. So they're
she's
definitely
on the case. Well, let's make sure if that's happening, let's make sure that one of those gigs is over in the UK, in the southwest. Can we do that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Bristol, Exeter, somewhere like that, so I can come and have a pint with you and listen. So are you working towards an album? Do you feel with this, or?
Yeah, that's the aim. I've enough for an album now.
Cool.
So it's a case of just putting it all together. And I like to think of a body of work as a whole. So what I don't want to do is to go in and just record maybe another song and then go, oh, I have 10, let's put it out. I want an album to.
You want to craft it as an album.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And I'm a big fan of that, and where songs are placed in albums and all that kind of thing. So just because I had 10 songs, I don't think I would just go, right, there we go. I'd want to craft it. Exactly, that's the word. Yeah.
What are your parents still around?
Yes.
What's your pet? Because we started there with your parents, and they obviously brought you into this world surrounded by music, which is a lovely thing, and it's a gift when people do that.
Absolutely.
What's their response been to what you've done recently?
Oh, they are so supportive, honestly.
Oh, that's lovely.
They really, really are. Yeah. Which is wonderful. Yeah, it's been great. That's been one of the wonderful things about it, actually. So like, you're putting it out. There's all different elements to it, obviously, but having that support is great. Yeah.
They're saying, yeah, when you do Wembley Stadium, we'll be there.
You'll be there. Keep going.
Yeah. With Take That doing support.
Absolutely. Book them now. Someone get on the phone.
I hear they're going cheap these days. So it's fine. So look, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to hear the whole body of work. I can't wait to hear more of your stuff. I think it's absolutely delightful, and it's music you can really get lost into as well, which and it's very emotional music as well. So I do recommend it to anybody that hasn't listened to Emma's work. Do check it out and find it. We'll tell you in a second where you can go and hear it, and where you can give Emma some money as well, maybe, because that's always good. But Emma, one of the things that I like to leave people with as a question before they depart from me is, if you could work with someone, alive or dead, okay, who would that be?
Oh my goodness. This is like the Oscars. If I say one name, I forget somebody else.
Well, you can say several. If you have several, then that's fine. Sometimes people come flying out. Yeah, I've always wanted to work with this one person, but there may be for you, especially given the amount of music that you've been immersed in over the years. There may be several.
Yeah, there are several. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like picking your favorite chocolate, isn't it?
It is. Do you know what though? And it probably Gaz Coombs from
going back to Supergrass.
Yeah, because like obviously he's solo now and he's doing amazing stuff, and to see him live and like it's just phenomenal. So I'd actually love to be in the studio with him to see him in action. I'd love to see that because he's just amazingly talented. And but I mean that's one out of a myriad amount of people that I could say.
That would make a great duet, wouldn't it?
I'd love that. Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
So I mean he's one person that springs to mind. Yeah. So, but like there's just so many others. Like the most wonderful thing about this is, or one of the most wonderful things about all this is that too, as being a music fan, to be putting your stuff out there as well is magic, because you've spent your whole life appreciating other people's work, and you get to put your own out. Then it's a great privilege.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I it's even doing this. It's wonderful when some of the musicians that I've really appreciated over the years, A, agree to come on the show, and then B, thank you. You just think, wow, I'm so grateful that people come on and give up their time. But it's nice, I think, and that's the nice thing about music. I think it can break down so many of those different sort of conventions in terms of hierarchy and whatever. If you genuinely, and a lot of my following for this come from Twitter, and I'm so grateful for that family of people that just love music, and it's irrelevant really. They don't really. There's no real caring who those people are or where their backgrounds are from or whatever. We just all connect because we believe, we want to share this music. We've got a love of new music, what bands are doing or what artists are doing. We just want to share that. And have you felt that for yourself?
Yeah, I think especially in the past 2 years, like one thing I absolutely loved, and you're mentioning Twitter, is the Tim's Twitter listening parties, where
fantastic.
I adored them, and everybody came together, and I discovered new music from joining into them, as well as some of my favorite albums were played, and you were there with artists or producers or whatever giving their insights, and fans and people saying how much they love songs, and that magic of sitting down and all listening to a record at the same time and appreciating it was just wonderful. And on Facebook as well, I've made friends with people that there's some I have not met yet, but it's the joint love of music that brought us together. And it's a wonderful thing, and a shared passion is always a wonderful thing. But music, I think, really, really can connect you in a way that is just, there's no words for it really. I feel like I'm trying to find words for it, and that's because there probably aren't any.
I call it family. I think what's really wonderful is when you connect with someone online and you share that passion, you share that love, etc. And then one day you actually do get to meet them.
Yeah.
And it's like you've just known them forever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a wonderful, beautiful thing. Yeah. So, Emma, before you leave this, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people listen to you? I mean, presumably on all platforms, but where's the best place to go to get Emma Hynes music?
Well, you can pick it up on Bandcamp, so you can actually buy it on Bandcamp, and that's literally just Emma Hynes, and it's Bandcamp, so that's really straightforward. But it's on all other platforms as well. And I have a website, emmahynes.net, where I pull everything together, so you can see everything that you need to on that. And obviously all the usual streaming platforms as well, whatever your choice is.
That's the one to go to, emmahynes.net. Go there, find your Bandcamp link, download, pays your money, gets your goods. That's the way to go. I'm trying so hard to push people doing it. And Emma, a little bit of advice that I'm going to give you, which I've given other people on the show before now, which is get some t-shirts done. Make sure you get the t-shirts done. But when you do get the t-shirts done with whatever the album cover is, when the album cover comes out, on the back you can have, I listen to Emma Hynes on my favorite streaming service, and then you can have a list of all of the ones that.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So that if people are of the modern ilk and they don't actually pay for their music and they stream it, which is fine, you know, then at least they can buy a t-shirt. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, yeah. And the £10 from the t-shirt equates to the £10 they would have spent on the CD once upon a time. So there you go. And then all musicians will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great idea. I'm a big fan of the band t-shirt. I always pick up a bit of merch whenever I'm at anything.
I do. I've probably got about 40 on the go at the moment, band t-shirts, because I think at the end of the day, you've got to support your musicians out there, folks. Absolutely. Please do pay a bit of money and support musicians, because unless we do, they can't carry on. They and as much as they do it because they love the music, as much as they do it out of the love of their own hearts, and because they want to put something out there in the world, they still have to pay those extortionate gas and electric bills that we're all having to pay at the moment. So there we go. The cost of food's gone up. The cost of heating's gone up. Pay for your music, please. Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing more from you across social media and in real life sometime.
Thank you.
And I look forward to coming to see you live somewhere in the UK.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd love it.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.